Greetings, viewer. Welcome to Caritas Focus. My name is Flavia Kunihira, your host, and today we discuss the topic of climate change in transition to clean energy. With me in studio, I have the business manager, ECOCA East Africa, Mr. Ronald Kawesa, with whom we're going to have a depth discussion on how climate change affects the ecosystem, economies, and the communities, and how ECOCA East Africa is trying to mitigate the effects of climate change in transition to clean energy. You're most welcome, Mr. Ronald.
Thank you, Flavia. I'm honored to be on this show and to go through what we're doing to help communities to have that transition from fossil fuels to clean energy. Thank you so much.
Could you please help us understand what climate change is and the impact of climate change on our community?
Yeah, so when we talk of climate change, we need to understand that, yes, climate change is real. It is real and it is biting. So all over the country, we see the effects of climate change. So I'm sure you have seen things like floods taking place and also heat waves all around the world. And here in Uganda ourselves also we're not immune to all these challenges of climate change. But then what we need to think in our minds, what are the mitigation measures, what are the adaptation measures to see that going forward, at least we reduce the impacts of climate change.
Thank you very much. We would want to understand what is the concept of affordable and clean energy, and how does ECOCA define affordable and clean energy?
Very good. So in that submission, you mentioned two things. There's clean energy and there's also being affordable. So when you talk of clean energy, I'll give you like the baseline. So the baseline is firewood. The baseline is firewood. So basically when you burn firewood, you're basically generating things like smoke, you're generating carbon dioxide, what we call in our time as greenhouse gas emissions, and also you're generating soot. So that is, we call it a dirty energy. So now you think of clean energy. So with clean energy, in a layman's language, we're trying to do away with smoke, reduce emissions, and also exposure to toxins that result from burning fossil fuels. So what comes to our mind, is it affordable to transition away from fossil fuels from biomass to clean energy? So what comes at the back of your mind that are there technologies that can help us to have that transition? And are these technologies affordable? Are they really accessible? Can they achieve the desired result of reducing on emissions? Not only that, but also the soot and also the carbon dioxide or the greenhouse gas emissions. So that's why we need to focus our discussion on.
Before we go any further, could you please help us understand what ECOCA is? Where does it originate from, and what is its main goal in coming to play against climate change?
So ECOCA East Africa came from the background of a refugee settlement. When you look at the refugee settlement and the kind of environmental degradation that had happened there, so international partners came together to think of how can we come up with mitigation measures to reduce the levels of deforestation. So we sat on board to come up with an innovation that could help us reduce on the use of firewood in these refugee settlements, because there arose conflicts between the host communities but also and the locals. So both of them were striving for the natural resources, and that is the forests. So we have to sit on the drawing board and come up with what is the alternative. And that's why we started designing a solar system that we codename the ECOCA. So ECOCA itself is the technology. It's a solar technology whereby we're harnessing the energy from the sun and directing this into energy for cooking. So ECOCA itself is basically electronic cooking, so to say. Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ronald. From my understanding, ECOCA has a partnership with Caritas Uganda. Yes. How has ECOCA been able to make sure that its technologies are implemented within the communities that Caritas Uganda operates?
So you'll know that Ecoca East Africa is a private entity, and with Caritas arm, it has the NGO arm of it. So we decided to merge the two, because you'll find that for the private sector to reach into the refugee settlement is hard, but then our technology is needed there. So coming into a partnership with Caritas helps us to see that the vulnerable communities are able to be reached out to with accessible and clean cooking. So basically what we do with Caritas is that Caritas has a network of farmers. Caritas has a network of refugees whom they are helping. So as the Ecoca East Africa, we come in to provide the technology solution. Not only that, but also do the trainings. We also do after-sales services, and also we design together with Caritas accessible business models for refugees so that they can transition away from using firewood for cooking and the transition to cleaner cooking fuels.
I understand that we are working with the vulnerable communities. How are they able to afford the Ecoca systems? Are they for free? Are they at a cost? How do they come to be able to afford them, to use them in their homesteads?
So you'll understand that the Ecoca itself, this is a solar system or a solar kit that has a panel, that has batteries, and also that has cooking utensils and lights. So the upfront cost for a solar system is a bit high, but then in the long run, it is cheaper. But then is it affordable for a refugee? Because remember, refugees, these are people who are not in formal employment. So our synergy with Caritas comes in hand, whereby Caritas helps to subsidize the cost of the product by over 70%. So the refugee pays 30%, and Caritas covers the remaining 70%. So in that way, the system becomes more affordable, not only to the refugees, but also to the host communities. So this synergy comes in handy because it reduces on the upfront cost of the product.
Okay. I would want to understand, you're talking about a solar system. It contains the lights, it contains the cooking system. Yes. How long do these lights take in a homestead, like the lighting capacity? But then how is it any different for a person who has a family of about 8 to 10 people to use that solar system? What is the cooking time of the food as compared to firewood? That would be faster.
So you understand that the Ecoca were designed for a refugee household of between 5 to 7 individuals. So it comes with 2 cooking pots, whereby in one saucepan they're able to prepare their food, and in the other saucepan they're able to prepare the sauce. And also it comes with 3 lights. So this light, we can put either one light in the bedroom, one in the sitting room, maybe one in the kitchen. And these lights can run from evening, maybe from 6 p.m. They can run through up to morning time. So a refugee household is able to have energy for lighting for the children who come back from school, and then they're able to do their homework, but then even at night, you're able to do the cooking at night. So it has inbuilt batteries. So we have high-grade batteries that we use, whereby during the day, the system relies mainly on energy that is harvested from the sun to do the cooking. And then in the night, these batteries are able to give you enough power to do all the cooking throughout the night. So it was customarily designed for 5 to 7 people, and designed to provide energy to prepare 3 meals in a day. So you can prepare your breakfast, you can prepare your lunch, and you can prepare dinner on the Ecoca system.
Okay. In your partnership with Caritas Uganda, how has it been easy for the vulnerable communities to accept this technology, and what would be the transition rate of mindset from using firewood that they easily access, I could say, to having to use the Ecoca solar system?
So knowing that this is a new technology, so there comes behavior change. So what we decided to do is to first come up with a pilot to see, is it really accessible? Will people be willing to use the system? So we started out with a pilot of 50 units, whereby these were first distributed for free to 50 individuals within the communities, and then to test how feasible is it in terms of usability, in terms of installation, and also in terms of behavior change and the different foods that are prepared. Because here, people are known to cook using charcoal or firewood, but then here, you are telling them now you're going to be cooking using solar. So you cannot just bring a technology and then dump it on the people, because this is new. So the pilot helps us to see and also to make modifications in the system. For example, when we first designed the Ikoka, it was able to prepare posho, it was able to prepare their grains, but then it failed to prepare their beans. So we got that feedback, and then we had to go back on the drawing board, and then we designed version 2 of the system. And now version 2 of the system is able to prepare beans, can prepare meat, can prepare posho, can prepare all these kind of meals without losing battery power. So you see, so that's why in any case that a new technology is being introduced, a pilot is very, very essential. So when the locals saw that, okay, the system is working fine, we had to make this to be a people technology. And here we want to employ the youth, the refugees. So these are the ones who are doing assembling of the product, they're engaging to the marketing of the product, they're engaging to the after-sales services of the product. So as the Coca East Africa, we sit behind, and then we just offer the training to them, and then they're able to take up the technology amongst themselves. So they sell the product, they train each other, they install the system, and also on our side, we want to support them in minor trainings.
Okay. Technology advancement normally comes with its challenges. Yes. What are those challenges that you have faced from the ECOCA side? And also, I would want to understand from the vulnerable community side, in case the system fails to work or to break down, how has ECOCA been able to connect back to the communities to assist them with maybe changes in the system or trying to replace the system?
Yes. So as the Coca East Africa, we manufacture the product. So that means we own the technology, we own all the spare parts of the product. So we have created a value chain. So we have set up what we call an assembling unit. So in this assembling unit, it's comprised of the product itself and also the spare parts, the battery, the solar panels, and all this kind of stuff. So we create a link to see that we support the training facility and also the assembling center. So any spare parts that they may be missing, so it's our role down here. We send for them the spare parts, and they're able to do the after-sales services and the repair and the maintenance. But one thing that you need to have at the back of your mind is that we want this to be run by refugees, purely run by refugees, and then we want to do the background support to them. So in this case, we want to receive reports from the field. So if there's any missing part, or maybe there are components that are needed, or systems breakdown, so we train these refugees on how to identify faults. And the beauty with the Coca is that it is very easy to identify faults, even remotely. So it's just a matter of one sitting on your desk, open up your laptop, and then you're able to see all the units in the field, how they are performing. So whichever system that has broken down, you're able to see from your system, and then we're able to call our production unit in the refugee settlement, and we tell them, hey, this client is having an issue. Could you please reach out to them and help them out? In case they need spare parts, then we arrange from Kampala here, and then the spare parts are sent up, and then the system can be rectified.
Okay. So I understand the main focus here is the refugees in the settlement. However, we do also work with the host communities. So on the side of the host communities, how financially viable is the ECOCA system to the communities in the case whereby Caritas is not coming in for them to do the 70-30 payment? How financially viable is it to the host communities? Because we are still facing the same challenge of getting firewood, and we're still using the same concept of trying to transition to clean and affordable energy for each and every one.
So With the host communities, we have also entered partnerships with financial institutions and also different partners. So we have what we call the SALCO initiative. So SALCO, that is the Solar Electric Cooking Coalition. So this has brought together different partners, both from the private sector, from the financial institutions, and donor partners, whereby we have decided to split up roles or to specialize. So what ECOCA East Africa does, we shall be supplying the products, and then we have other NGOs. So these will be doing the community mobilization and also sensitization. And then we have the financial institutions who will be lending out loans to whoever is interested in the products. So in this value chain, you see that everyone has a role to play. And being that these are organizations who are on the ground in the refugee system, so they understand the refugees and their needs. So they understand what kind of credit lines refugees can be able to afford. So they give them the credit lines. They prefer doing this in terms of cooperatives and saving groups. So they bring the refugees together in cooperatives and VCLAs, and then they provide them with the funding. Then we provide the product, and then we get out of the picture, and then the refugees continue to pay back to these financial institutions. So that makes it affordable for the host communities, whereas for the refugees themselves, remember they're not in formal employment, so there the subsidy comes in for them.
Let's get into a short break and we'll be right back. Welcome back from the break. We are still discussing the topic of climate change and the transition to clean and affordable energy within our communities. We are still with the business manager of ECOCA East Africa, Mr. Ronald Kawesi, who is taking us through the journey of clean and affordable energy and its adaptability to mitigate climate change effects. Picking up from where we left, what are the economic benefits of investing in clean energy as compared to the traditional forms of energy that we are commonly using in Uganda?
What we need to understand is that clean energy or higher forms of clean energy, what we call a higher tier clean energy innovations, yes, they have a higher upfront cost, but then in the long run, they become more cheaper. Well, I'll give you an example. When you are cooking using charcoal, or when you start from the charcoal value chain, you will note that for one sack of charcoal, that's around 70 kilograms, you basically require around 200 kilograms of wood to prepare just a single sack of charcoal. So those are many trees to prepare just a small sack of charcoal. So what that translates into when the charcoal reaches your home is that a sack of charcoal on a daily basis or on a monthly basis, you are basically spending between 120 to 160,000 for a bag of charcoal. So investing in clean cooking technologies like the ECOCA system is 2.5 million shillings, so to say, like on the open market. So now you'll think of, okay, 2.5, well, that is a bit high, but then within 1 year, you have exhausted the price of the ECOCA. And from the second year, all throughout, you are not spending any cost on our energy. Whereas the person who is cooking with firewood, every monthly, on a monthly basis, they are spending on charcoal. From day one, throughout their lifetime, it's at a daily expenditure, a monthly expenditure on charcoal. Whereas investing in clean energy, like the ECOCA, it's a one-time buy-off and you are done with it. So the extra energy, the extra income or the expenditures on energy, this can be channeled to maybe improving the living conditions, your feeding habits, the school fees, and all the like. So it is cost saving in the long run.
Okay. So we have been talking about clean and affordable energy. What are some of the examples of clean and affordable energy that we are promoting within our communities?
Very good. So I will start from the government side, because government is trying to do a lot to promote clean cooking, and they are starting with the urban centers, and then they scale off to the rural settings. So in the urban centers, government is trying as much as possible to encourage people to cook using electricity, because electricity nowadays is becoming cheaper, and it's the most clean fuel that we have so far globally. So with cooking with electricity, the government is encouraging urban users to cook using what we call the EPCs. So EPCs, these are electric pressure cookers. They use very little power or energy in cooking, and they cook in a very short period of time, and they are cheaper compared to using charcoal and fire for cooking. But then on the other hand, not everyone will be able to afford the electricity. So also government is also promoting the use of gas. So you have also heard of campaigns whereby government has gone ahead to peri-urban centers like the Kisenyis and the like, promoting the use of gas for cooking. Of course, people have a fear of using gas for cooking, but then we should erase those fears. Nowadays, gas is very safe to use. It is clean, and it's also efficient in its use. There's also the use of using ethanol. So ethanol, this is a byproduct of crop residues. So ethanol is also clean in its cooking, so it doesn't emit smoke. It has just reduced emissions, but then it is clean in its use. And also, for most of that is that we're also partnering with government to promote the use of solar for cooking. It's a new technology, and it's picking up.
Okay, thank you very much. I would want to understand, how do the social and economic aspects intersect with the adoption of clean and affordable energy in the vulnerable communities?
Yes. So in this way, you are looking at the social aspect vis-a-vis the environmental aspect, and how the two are coming together, and how like clean cooking is merging these two together. So one thing that you should think of is the energy poverty. When you look at refugee settlements, most of them are left behind, because most of the interventions are found in the urban centers, whereas the effects of climate change are more biting in the refugee settlements, because there you find hardly a tree standing. So how clean cooking comes into play, that I'll give an example with the Ikoka. So refugees are able to transition away from using firewood for cooking. So in this way, they can leave the forest or the tree cover to regenerate. And when the tree cover regenerates, it's stabilizing the climates there. So the refugees are able to leave the trees to grow, but still they have a source of energy for cooking. Not only that, when you think of the dangers associated with looking for firewood, I'll give you a case example in the Bidibidi refugee settlements, whereby we are having higher cases of the girl child facing rape. They are being raped when they go out to look for firewood. But now with the distribution of the ecokas, they no longer need to go to look for firewood. So they harnessing energy from the sun, and they're able to do their cooking. Not only that, but also they're able to harness their education. So girls do not need to drop out of school every day going out to look for firewood, so they were skipping classes. But now they are comfortably at home, knowing that when I go back home, I'll find a meal prepared. Why? Because there's no need to go and look for firewood. There's already an existing energy source. So we are talking of energy poverty, but also improving their education standards. The other thing is we're promoting climate resilience, whereby, like I mentioned earlier, clean cooking helps to see that you're no longer degrading trees. So leave the trees to grow, stabilize the climate, and focus on the clean energy technique that we're providing through the ECOCA.
Thank you. What role do international agreements and collaborations play in advancing clean energy policies and technologies?
Yeah, actually, that is very, very key. Others, if we don't have international collaborations, because climate change is not like a Ugandan issue. It's not an East African issue. It's a global issue. When we pollute here, the West suffers the consequences. When they pollute in the West, Africa will suffer the consequences. So these international collaborations come in handy to see how do we harness, how do we come together to fight climate change. So this comes into hand in terms of policies, global policies, whereby we're not trying to reduce on our pollution level. So each country through its NDCs has a mark or a target to reduce on our pollution levels. So see that we don't go beyond the 1 degree Celsius in terms of heat levels globally. So these international collaborations also come in handy to see that there's always support from the West to support countries within the sub-Saharan region to be able to finance climate change adaptation measures and also mitigation measures. And when it comes in terms of clean cooking, so I've seen global partners, the World Bank, the NGOs and financial institutions globally to come and pouring a lot of money into the sub-Saharan Africa, because this is where climate change is really biting. And they're helping governments with a lot of financing so that the government can distribute this financing to the private sector through government agencies, whereby clean cooking is not only like left to the global West, but also in the sub-Saharan Africa to see that these technologies are taken up. And when they are taken up, remember we're reducing pollution. When we reduce pollution, we're stabilizing the globe. In the Western countries, they have minimal pollution in terms of cooking, because they are cooking using gas, they are cooking using electricity, which is stable. But then in sub-Saharan Africa, we're mainly depending on biomass for cooking, over 80%. So if we do not have interventions, which come also financially, to reduce on the use of biomass and introduce a clean cooking initiative through cooking with electricity, promoting the use of LPG, promoting the use of solar for cooking, it's really handy that they support us down here.
Thank you very much. Speaking of the international policies, Uganda as a country, we do have policies that are in line with the Sustainable Development Goals.
Yes.
Could you please help us understand clean energy and affordable energy? What sustainable goal do they contribute to? And how has ECOCA been able to influence government into the adoption of some of these policies?
Yes. So when you look at Uganda in particular, in our NDC, and energy access, so we have a target to see that by 2050, we'll reduce our expenditure and also transition 80% from the use of fossil fuels to cleaner fuels. So that is a Ugandan target. But then how possible is that? That's only possible if we have collaborations between our government and also the private sector and also the donor communities. So in this way, ECOCA East Africa is going ahead to partner with government agencies, especially the Ministry of Water and Environment, the Ministry of Energy, to run different projects in this regard. So there are projects that we are running not only in terms of households, but also when it comes to schools. Because most cases schools are left out. We think, okay, schools, they have their money, but then schools consume a lot of firewood as vis-a-vis households. So even with schools, we have gone ahead to develop the ECOCA system for institutions like schools, whereby schools are able to cook using solar and transition away from using firewood for cooking.
You keep talking about NDCs. Please try and help us understand what are NDCs.
Yes. So in a clear man's language, so NDCs, these are national determined contributions. And with these NDCs, these are commitments because each country has a commitment. So also Uganda put forth commitments and pledges to see that we reduce on the effects of climate change. So these are basically commitments. For example, say Uganda is, there are many. There are NDCs in terms of the energy sector, the NDCs in terms of the water sector, agricultural sector, industrial sector. But then here we're only focusing on the energy sector. So each sector has its own targets to reduce on the pollution levels, so to say.
Okay.
Yes.
Through the partnership with Caritas Uganda, what are some of the success stories of the implementation of the affordable and clean energy solutions within the communities?
Yes. So with Caritas, you'll note that Caritas is majorly focusing on two refugee settlements. And within the refugee settlements, they started with a Bidibidi refugee settlement. And in that partnership with Caritas, we have distributed over 1,000 ECOCA units in the refugee settlements. And here, we have a lot of success stories whereby we have helped 70% of the communities where we have done distribution to shift away from using firewood to 100% clean energy. And the success stories that we have up there, they're really enormous. We have families who are giving very nice testimonies of improved standards of living, because with the ECOCA, you're able to charge phones. So they have set up, like their homes have become like phone charging centers, whereby the communities around are able to bring their phones for charging, and they charge a fee. And with this fee, they're able to use this money to maybe buy other scholastic materials for the children, but also to improve their standards of living. Not only that, we also did a report, the willingness to pay report. And this report helps us to see that it is really able, or it's really affordable for a refugee to buy a solar system. Because most of us think that, okay, these are vulnerable communities, they're not able to afford this kind of higher tier cooking. But then the willingness to pay report really showed it that refugees are able to afford, away from what the nation thinks that this cannot be able to afford. But also, when you think of the health benefits that come with that, this study also showed that there was a drastic improvement in the health benefits from the communities whom we are serving. So we're thinking of improved standards of living. We're thinking of the health benefits, the environmental benefits as well. And the demand is high. So what is limiting us is now the financial and the supply, but the demand is overwhelming in the refugee settlements.
Okay, as we come to a conclusion, what do you see as most of the critical priorities that we should consider in accelerating clean energy for a sustainable and cleaner future?
Yes, so I'll give three. The first one is creating awareness, because most people do not know that, yes, that there are higher tier cooking technologies that can help us to transition away from biomass. So government has to play a key role in creating awareness, because it is government responsibility to achieve its NDC. So the private sector, the NGO world, these come on board as supporting partners. So awareness is key. A lot of money is still needed for awareness through advertisements, not only within the refugee settlements, but also in the urban centers, so to help people know that, yes, clean cooking technologies are there. So in this, government can partner with the private sector, can partner with the NGO world. For example, we have an organization that brings clean cooking players together, that is UNAC. So UNAC, that is the Uganda National Association Alliance on Clean Cooking. So that brings together private players who are promoting clean energy technologies. So when we partner with such alliances, yes, we can be able to achieve our goal. Then number two is that we need financing. These clean cooking technologies are not cheap. Yes, they're expensive, because you are transitioning from the use of firewood. So what innovation or what technologies are there to transition? These are not free. They come at a cost. So financing from the financial institutions, from the donor partners to supporting this is also key to reduce on the affordability.
Thank you very much, Ronald, for sharing this useful knowledge with us concerning climate change mitigation strategies in collaboration with transitioning to clean and affordable energy. My name is Flavia Kunihira, and I'm the host of the Caritas Focus Show. And I would like to remind you that starting from the 5th of May to the 5th of June 2024, Caritas Uganda will be carrying out various activities in commemoration of the World Environment Day. It is through this that we are able to create awareness about how to mitigate the effects of climate change.